Guys, welcome to this special live edition of the Coaches Courtside Catch-Up, thanks to Dream Street Lending. And Dino, another 2-0 weekend, got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't feel like 2 weekends. It just felt like it constantly was games coming at us. And so, yeah, no, really positive outcomes of the games. Thought we'd be a little flat going into the last game, and it showed a little bit in the first quarter, but, you know, loved our ability to make a change in that second quarter and establish a good lead.
Well, you talked about potentially being flat. It was 4 games in 8 days, and obviously you've always loved the idea of having the trainings and building on stuff. How much of it is of a challenge? Obviously, minimal training days in a week span like that and so many games. Obviously, players love it. I remember I used to love it because we're not on the court, but how much is it a challenge?
Yeah, it was, you know, you just got to be good in the film room, you know, because, you know, the practices that we had were no contact, and so you're just trying to create a scheme without the physicality, and sometimes that scares me a little bit, that you don't compete it and trial it at a high level. So yeah, I thought we took on information better than we have previously in some of those short turnaround games. But again, just trying to get your body right, and credit to our medical staff and strength and conditioning staff in doing a really good job and making sure everyone was prepared as possible.
Now guys, with these live coaches chats, we want you to send in your questions in the future. We've got one here. Obviously I was going to bring it up, but they've done it, from Melbourne United fans. Coach, how are you going to change the rotation once Casey Prather comes off his restrictions? Will he be starting at the 4, or will someone else come off a 6-man? How will that work? It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is. You know, and we built this team knowing that Casey was going to play some at the 4 spot, and you know, we haven't had a lot of time in teaching him that position as yet. So while we're home for a few weeks, it's a good chance for us to do that. Whether that is the best advantage to start the game, or whether that best advantage is later in the game, is yet to be seen. So we'll keep teaching him 2 positions and then try and find the appropriate time to use it.
Well, as a coach who last coached them in the league, and you know what he managed to do when we went on that championship run, how did you feel when he went on that break and went up for that dunk? A little bit of you like, oh, he's nearly back to that Casey Prather I remember.
Yeah, I was excited. You know, he was creeping around in a pretty low stance and getting steals, and such strong hands. You know, when he puts a hand on the ball, it's just his, and made some key steals for us. But you know, that would have been a nice little exclamation mark for him to go smash that one in, because he gave it something. That was a fair bounce back to halfway.
He definitely did, and I think in a couple of weeks' time that one will be a poster. So now we look forward, and you've got a whole week to prepare. You got 2 games in 2 weeks, so you've got a whole week between them, chance for guys to rest up, but a chance to really refine things. What are you looking to get out of this week leading into another throwdown game against Southeast Phoenix?
Yeah, I think importantly, you know, over this today and tomorrow is to review the first quarter of the season, to ensure that everyone understands their role and understands what they can do to gain more minutes and more responsibility within their role, and then really just refine the 2 or 3 things that they want to get better at, and put a plan in place to go and do that. I guess when you play a lot of games and you review really quickly, it's a chance for us to get into some real detail about how we defend Southeast. And we did a pretty good job last time, but they still put up 100 points, so it was nice to see a 90-point game versus Adelaide, and hopefully we can start to hold teams to around that margin.
You talk about defence, and obviously it was good to see just a change in the mindset from guys like Sean Long, Mello, Trimble, but probably not much has been said about a guy that was signed later on, Shea Ely. When you can bring in a guy like Shea Ely to just go and be an absolute pain in, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but a pain in the ass to other guys, and he picks up a couple of fouls here and there, but he's just so tenacious on defence. How good is it to have that guy come in and set a tone and have guys follow?
Yeah, you know, we've used him in big moments to go and guard different players, whether it be a Roberson, you know, whether it be a Corey Webster, you know, just be able to throw him out there and know that he's going to be disruptive, he's going to bust through every screen, and he's going to put you in a situation where you don't need to switch very much at all. You just need to give him a little bit of help, buy him some time. You know, he's going to heavily contest and use his chest very well. You know, he did a good job the other day against Adelaide and picked up a couple of fouls, which was, you know, end up sitting him down a little bit more. So again, it's always a challenge when you play that aggressive to make sure that you do it without fouling as well.
And we look at the Southeast Phoenix, obviously splitting at 1-1 so far. Massive game on Saturday. In terms of leadership in the two different teams, what kind of luxury is it for a coach to be able to at times sit back? You've got Chris Golding, who's playing well right now as a captain, Dave Barlow, these veteran heads, but also guys coming back in like Casey Prather, who's a leader in his own rights. Everyone has their own different styles of leadership. Is it a good luxury to have where you can kind of just sit back? You probably don't even have to talk in timeout sometimes. Let those guys sort it out.
Yeah, and when your three leaders are also, the three guys on the team that are leading us in our plus minus. So, when they're on, our leaders on the floor, they're having a really positive impact on the team. And I think that helps you be a really good leader as well, where other people can look at you and say, yep, the score's going the right way, they're making good decisions, they're helping others, they're making others better. And it does make coaching a little bit easier. Having Casey as another guy who's going to show those behaviours on the court and is one of the greatest winners that people can learn from. It's going to be exciting once we get everybody fully established on the floor.
Well, guys, this is the first live edition of the Coaches Catch Up. If you want to comment below any questions to ask in the future, we'll rattle his brain, find out his deepest secrets about the game of basketball. But make sure you jump online, get your tickets for Throwdown 3 this weekend. We'll see you there, and always stay united.